Alright, so we have in this problem given the AB is perpendicular to BD. You have to know that that sign there means perpendicular. Rarely seen, but if you do not know that that means perpendicular, this problem is impossible. Okay, so this means perpendicular. Alright. And we're also given that EFG and CBD are complementary. We need to prove that EFG is congruent to ABC. Okay, so we need to prove EFG congruent to ABC. Alright, let's go ahead and start with our statements and reasons. And we have number one is going to be our given statements. So it's segment AB perpendicular to segment BD. And we're also given that angle EFG and angle CBD comp. Number one is given. Okay, so if we have perpendicular, then what can we say? Well, we're looking at our angle proofs, the cheat sheet, and where does it say perpendicular? Well, that is right here. It's the only place, theorem 2.9, and it says if we're given perpendicular lines, then we could say that we have a right angle. So we can name it as a right angle, like in English. Okay, so we're given that AB and BD perpendicular. So what's the angle that we can name that is a right angle? So it's going to be angle ABD. Well, D is right angle. And that's going to be, what is it? Perpendicular lines form right angles. Okay. You could write theorem 2.9, but I prefer the description because I don't know what 2.9 is. I do know, but easy to forget. Okay, so now what? Now we have that EFG and CBD are comp. Okay, so I believe the best way to go about this is to use the congruent complements theorem. Okay, to say that two angles are congruent. Are we trying to prove two angles congruent? Yes, we're trying to prove two angles congruent. So we have one comp statement, it's given. One comp statement. We need two comp statements to use congruent complements theorem. If we have two comp statements then we could say that two angles that are comp to the same angle are congruent using congruent comps theorem. And I believe that's a good path to go on this problem. Okay. Same thing with congruent subs theorem. We need two statements that say two angles are sub to the same angle, two separate statements, and then we can go ahead and say that the two angles are congruent. So how are we going to go about this? Well, our first step is going to be to apply angle adpos on the figure. We have two angles that are adjacent to each other. We can apply angle adpos to the figure. Okay. Oh, actually, let's start by turning this into an equation. So measure angle ABD equals to 90. Right? So how do we go from statement to equation? Well, it's always definition, right? And statement to equation or equation to statement is always a definition. And which definition is it? Well, we're looking here, and obviously it's the definition of right angles. So I'm going to go right here, definition right angles. Okay. So now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to look at the figure, and we're going to apply angle adpos. Can we apply angle adpos to this figure here? No, we cannot, because it's only one angle. But if we have two angles and they're adjacent to each other, like we have in the figure, then we could apply angle adpos. So we're in 4, angle adpos lets us say first part of the angle plus second part of the angle equals the entire angle, right? So this first part plus this second measure of the second part is equal to the measure of the entire angle. Namely, measure angle ABC plus measure angle CBD is equal to measure angle ABD. So that is angle ad postulate. Okay. Now what are we going to do? Well, we can do a substitution. Right? This problem is similar to a previous problem, but it's a little bit different. Okay. We could take this 90, and what that equal sign means is anywhere I see the measure angle ABD, I could put the number 90. And so in another equation, in a different equation. Okay. So do I see measure angle ABD in this equation, my only other equation? Yes, I do. It's right here. So I'm going to take the 90 and place them right in there. So I have 5 is measure angle ABC plus measure angle CBD is equal to 90. 5 is substitution. Right? now if you look at this equation, it is clearly, right, corresponding to the definition of complementary angles, right? So what is the definition of complementary angles? Right over here is that measure angle 1 plus measure angle 2 is equal to 90. So that's exactly what we have over here. We have first angle plus the second angle measure is equal to 90. Those two are adjacent. And so we can go ahead and apply the definition of complementary angles to say that angle ABC and angle CBD are comp. So number 6 is going to be definition of comp angles. Remember that definitions let us go from equation to statement. They also let us go from statement to equation, right? In this case, we're going from equation to statement. All right, great. So now what is going on? Well, we have two comp statements, right? Great, great. Alarm should be going off. Because what do two comp statements unlock? Two comp statements unlock this congruent comps theorem. Okay. What do we need to use the congruent comps theorem? It's two comp statements saying that two different angles are comp to the same angle, and if that's true, we can use this theorem to say that the two angles congruent. Okay. So we have the two comp statements, and now which two angles are comp to the same angle? Well, which angle in both of these statements is the same angle? Right? It is CBD. So we have EFG comp to CBD. We have ABC comp to CBD as well. So what are the two angles that are comp to the same angle? It's going to be angle EFG and ABC. They are both comp to CBD. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say angle EFG congruent to angle ABC. And my reason is my congruent comps theorem. And that is our proof statement. And we're done.